Welcome back to the channel. This episode we're going to look primarily, well, we're just going to look at my phone basically, and how I do things when it comes to taking pictures. I'm not at the desk at the moment, so I'm upstairs in my in the bedroom, but we should be okay to do what I want to do. So as we know, this is a Samsung Galaxy S6, and I do have a separate folder which I use for all my photography bits and bobs. Let me go into that, if I can find it. Photography. I haven't sorted everything out, but basically this is the standard camera that comes with the Samsung Galaxy. And basically we can see that we've got this is the size of the picture we want, the picture quality, and for the purpose of these pictures that we're going to be taking for the forums and the magazines, if you're doing it for that, although I would recommend a different camera for magazines, we'd want the 16 megapixel 16.9 ratio there, so we're going for the maximum one on the rear camera. So you would adjust that there. The camera, you can have the flash on auto, but I tend to find that the flash is dreadful on these cameras. It doesn't do any good having that on. It's not very flattering to any image, so I normally just have mine turned off. I have the HDR turned on if it's possible. There is an auto method, but I normally leave it turned on, and although the effects are there, I very rarely use them, so I normally just have that on no effect. And then if we have a quick look in the settings, so again we've first got the quality setting. Now under Samsung's wording, it's ultra high quality or QHD. I'm not sure what QHD is. I think that's FHD's full HD, 60 frames per second, and that I'm guessing is not 60 frames per second. Why they've diverted from the standard labeling which is normally used, I don't know, so we'll leave it on ultra high definition. I'm guessing that is tracking. It's normally good to have the tracking on autofocus. There's a reason this is turned off, and that reason is I don't normally use this setup. I normally use a different app, so this doesn't get used. I'm just sort of running you through what you would have it on. So you would have it on that. Video stabilizations for when you're doing your videos. Grid lines I normally leave on. Location tags is handy, but be warned, if you're taking personal pictures around the house or anything else like that, it will put a tag and people can follow it back, which will sort of show them where your house is roughly. So, you know, from a security point of view, anything other than at home you can leave it on, but when you're sort of at home I would turn it off. Review pictures, I always review pictures after I've taken them. Quick launch is extremely handy in that if your camera's locked and you have a lock on your camera, you can get straight into the camera without having to unlock it. I'll show you that in a minute. Voice control comes in handy. Apologies a second. Stop it, Daniel. and that you can say smile, cheese, capture, shoot, and the volume keys for taking the picture are pretty self-explanatory. So I'm just going to show you the quick launch. So those were the settings on that on their standard setup, which is this. So if we come out and we lock everything up, now normally I would have to put my fingerprint in or a code before I could get anywhere near the camera, but with that setting on, you just need to quickly press this button twice and you're into the camera. You're into the camera straight away. You can take pictures, you can do pretty much everything. You can't go and look at anything in the gallery. You can look at the picture you've just took, but you can't do anything with it. If you want to do anything with it, it will ask you to log in, but you can take as many pictures as you want, and you can flick mode as well, like that. So that's the standard camera that comes with the Samsung Galaxy S6. So we're back on the desk now, downstairs on the bench, and I'm going to take you through some close-up shots that I would take, and I'm going to take of the current project I'm working on, which is a BF 110-E. So let's go into the camera. Now I'm going to use Samsung standard camera that I know everyone that has this phone will have, and we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to do a couple of quick auto photos just to show you how easy that is. Everyone can do this. Let me just come out of them so I can go to my photography folder. There we go. And camera. So the camera's up. Now then, just for the purposes of this, I'm not going to turn it into a landscape position, because the screen, as you will have seen from earlier shots, goes very small, and it becomes a bit difficult to see. So I'm going to keep it in this upright mode. There's no lights on at the moment, and as you can see, there is sort of a yellowish cast to it. So hopefully when the lights go on, we will get a more realistic appearance. So there's that one. That's just an ordinary incandescent bulb, I think it's classed as, and then we've got an LED light going on there, which will add a bit more here. So we've got plenty of light going on. That clips come away. Right, there we go. So first of all, we want to take a picture of the guns at the front. Our first thing we need to do is keep everything out of the edge of the picture. So for example, if we've been working, this would be a bit busy, say, and we've got some pieces like that. We don't want them in. They distract from the picture. That's not what you want to show. So make sure everything's out of the way. Also, this border here would be a no-no, because it's just, you know, you want to keep everything the same colour if you can. If you can't fill that in, if this is not big enough, then what you need to do is get as close as you can without throwing any shadow. Oh, we've gone back out again. Apologies. There we go. We've gone as close as we can. If we get any closer, we're going to start causing shadows. You can see there the hand and so on. So what we need to do is we'll zoom in. So you zoom in, and this is how you get your close-up shots, by zooming in like that. So there we go. We've got a nice close-up shot there of the guns, even the broken one which hasn't been repaired yet, and we just take the picture You can of course use the voice control if you've got it turned on, if you're worried you're going to sort of nudge the camera like that as you take the picture, because as you zoom in, the more you zoom in, the more sensitive the camera gets, and it picks up more vibrations in your hand. That's just the way things is. Me holding the camera further out, you can see it doesn't appear to move about much at all, but you zoom right in on that same sort of thing, and it starts wobbling about a bit. But the camera's normally pretty good to pick that up. And so there we go. That's taking a close-up shot in auto mode. The only thing with that is, as you've zoomed in, you will have lost some of your resolution. Although you've set it to take at 16.9 megapixels, as you zoom in, that ratio does drop. I don't know whether it shows it on here. No, it doesn't. Some phones you can visibly, they will show you as you zoom in that the where it says 16.9 at the top, that figure drops as you zoom in. That's not going to, that doesn't do it on here. So that's that. Now then, we can move around for other shots, always remembering to make sure everything is clear around the outside of the image, and you've got the one contrasting colour as a background. This is a mouse mat for smaller models. 1/72, the mouse mat is fine. As you go up, you could go on the market and get some different coloured sheets. Go to one of the material markets and buy a piece of black cloth, a piece of grey cloth, a piece of white cloth, and keep them all rolled up ready to go. Don't fold them, because you'll end up with awful creases in, and the creases will show in the images. So you really just want to fold them up and lay them somewhere with nothing on, where they're not going to get crinkled or anything like that. If you know you're going to be using them, take them out, hang them somewhere, maybe in the bathroom after somebody's had a shower. Just hang them on the rail or something, just to let any creases fall out that are in there. Now then, that said, we're going to go into the Pro mode, because each camera does have a Pro mode on the Samsung series. So if we click mode, there we are, we can see we're in auto. I'm going to briefly touch on selective focus as well. So let's just do the selective focus first. Selective focus is great if you've got something you just particularly want to focus in more. So let's say we're doing in this cockpit here. We'll zoom in a little bit. Oh, you can't zoom in and out on this mode, so limitations of it. We've got the shadow of the phone creeping in here now, you can see it. So we have to be careful. There are ways you could move your lighting around if it is movable, and you could get some white card. We've got some white card down here, or even silver foil. If you get some white card like this and cover it with silver foil, it will act as a reflector, and then you can stand that behind your model with the light shining on it, and what will happen is the light will bounce off the card and hit sort of this area and help eliminate any shadow you've brought into this area by having your camera hovering down over it. In fact, I think we can see there is a difference there with just the white card, whereas before there was a slight block of colour coming in from the bottom there. Let me see if I can find that again. So we came in, I did move this light a bit, didn't I? No, I can't replicate that now. I did manage it before, but apologies. It has sort of lessened the shadow a bit there, but that's how that works. Be warned though, whatever colour you have on this card, it will reflect and show back in the image. So silver and white's fine, but for example, if you put a heavy orange colour on there and you bounce your light off that, you will end up with an orange cast. That's one trick worth bearing in mind. So with selective focus, you just come into your selective focus, you pick the area that you're most interested in, which let's say it's this one, and then basically it will just concentrate its focus on that one spot there, and then everything else will blur out a bit. So if we go right up to the top there, I mean, this is, you wouldn't do this ordinarily, but we can see that the top has come into focus a bit, and this is all blurred out down in the cockpit down below. If I push back on the chair, we can see the chair comes back into focus and everything else starts to blur out. So that's selective focus, and it's very effective when used in different combinations. So let's go back and have a look at the Pro mode. So we're in Pro mode now, and instantly the camera gives a garish, it's a more accurate representation of what's really going on, because the camera's no longer controlling it. The phone is no longer controlling the camera and the software, so now it's down to us. And it's very simple really. For the best results you want a low ISO. The lower the ISO, the better the picture. 400's acceptable. Let's see if we can go down to 200. And basically with ISO, the higher the number, the more sensitive the sensor is becoming. So minimal light. The best way to show this was if I go down to 100, we can see that this simulates a low speed film, and basically it's letting the least amount of light in. Now if we increase that ISO to 100, we can see that the sensor has become more sensitive. The same light is coming in, but it's reacting with the sensor more, so the sensor's sort of increased its light. And then we go to 200, so we can, in fact, we could get away with 100 apart from one problem. The shutter speed is 1/20th of a second, which is absolutely a no-go really. With no software helping us, it would come out extremely blurry, which is no good at all. So by increasing the shutter speed, you will also see that in turn makes the picture darker. We're starting to pick up some flicker now as well, coming from the LED. I'm thinking that's coming from. Just to let me confirm that, I will turn off the LED and see if I'm right on that one. And we have got a little bit of flicker coming also off the light, so yeah. Right, so what we really want to be looking at is 1/60th, I would say, is minimum really for handheld. We're going to increase the ISO. We're going to go to 200 first. That is acceptable. The flicker's not going to show in the picture, that's not a problem. The white balance is on auto. Now white balance varies from light to light. For example, if you had fluorescent tubes in, you would probably have it set on that. You can see that that has made a difference to the picture. It's put a purplish pinkish cast out, which is no good really. If you was cloudy, I mean, it makes it, this picture would look great outside, but inside under artificial lighting it's totally wrong. So we're going for the incandescent, which is about 2800 Kelvin according to this chart here. Kelvin is just a measurement of light used. So we're going to the auto setting, and the little flower here just means it's macro, very close up, which is handy. So you can turn the auto off if you want. We can turn it to manual like that. So we're in manual now. We've set the minimum sort of safe shutter speed, and we've put the ISO at 200, and we've manually set it to macro to take close-up pictures. So we take a close-up picture like this, but honestly it doesn't look too flattering, and that's because we're overshadowing it. We've got the big camera sat right above it here. Light is struggling to get in, but honestly that is an accurate representation of what I'm seeing beneath me now. Obviously we want it to look a lot better because we want to see the detail in the cockpit. So for this we need to go up maybe to 400. And at 400 you can now see detail creeping in the picture. We don't really want to drop that anymore. We've got some settings on here, which, I mean, we could turn the vivid color on. We've got various things we can do. I don't really use these that often. And then we've got complete control over highlights, shadows, saturation, color temperature. I mean, you can play around with these, and I suggest you do. I suggest you take the camera, you go and sit down with some of your models, and you just literally play with all the settings, the dials. Take a notebook, jot details down, then put them through the computer and have a look at them. We are going to cover sort of Photoshop and other software. I'm going to give you a link to some Photoshop equivalent software that's free to use. It's very, very good, and we'll cover that in a later episode. So I think really for now that's about all I can help tell you with the Samsung phone. I imagine that all the camera phones are very much the same. If you have any further questions, then please don't hesitate to bring them up and mention them in the comments below. Let me just back out of that. I really don't think there's much else I can say. Obviously there's a vast subject on it, and I'm trying to cram in as much as I can in a short space of time, so there inevitably there's going to be information I've forgotten to pass on. I don't know everything when it comes to cameras. I don't believe everybody knows everything when it comes to their specialist field, because it's constantly evolving, and you know, you've always got to be on top of things. So I hope this has been of some help. Please let me know in the comments if it has helped you or hasn't helped you, or if there's something else you wanted to see me cover that I haven't covered, and I'll be more than happy to accommodate and revisit the areas if necessary. So with that said, all I've got to say now is thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye for now.